Oh.
Possible, perhaps you can read a verse of Bhagavad Gita and then appreciate Prabhupada's brilliance of Bhagavad Gita. And that way could do more.
I see. Okay. All right. Let me just look. I've closed my eyes. I'm not even looking at it. It's 2 pages of text. Okay, look. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 15. Chapter title, Knowledge of the Absolute. But the purport is, what is it? About 5 pages. So I'll just read. Well, first of all, now, is this loud enough, or should we? This is the speaker. Oops. All right. So you can hear. Can you hear? Okay, up there. Yes. All right. So first of all, please, just repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'm going to read this verse, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 15. And I'll read one paragraph of the purport by Srila Prabhupada. And then we'll look at some pastimes of Prabhupada. Namam duskritano mudha prapajante naradama mayaya parita jnana asuram bhavam asrita. It is a bit of a heavy verse. Fasten your seatbelts, at least everyone's sitting down. Okay, should be all right. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest amongst mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Light, nice and light. So let me read one paragraph of the purport. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that simply by surrendering oneself unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality, Krishna, one can surmount the stringent laws of material nature. At this point, a question arises. How is it that educated philosophers, scientists, businessmen, administrators, and all the leaders of ordinary men do not surrender to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the all-powerful personality of Godhead? Mukti, or liberation from the laws of material nature, is sought by the leaders of, and with great plans and perseverance for a great many years and births. But if that liberation is possible by simply surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha paditanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So just in addressing, I'm going to address this point more or less, by telling you a little story. A couple of little stories. Srila Prabhupada in London, 1972, we had a temple right in the center of London, and we moved actually down the road about a few hundred meters, but we're still right even more in the center of London. So we had this little temple. That's where I joined, actually, more than 50 years ago as program director. What's your name again?
It's Shalina.
Huh?
Shalina.
Shalina. Program director Shalina said, about more than 50 years ago, yeah. It was actually the 7th of January 1973. So, but Srila Prabhupada, this is now 1972, Srila Prabhupada was there. And the temple room was not big. It was, what would I say? In terms of the size of this room, it's sort of a quarter or something along those lines. And on the altar was Radha and Krishna, Sri Sri Radha London Ishwara. And Srila Prabhupada, his Vyasasan, if you could imagine, just say where I'm sitting. I mean, it's a little abstract, but this is Prabhupada sitting here, and the altar is not that far away. It's sort of like if you reached out like this, you'd touch the deities. And Prabhupada, that's where Prabhupada was sitting. So this one day, Srila Prabhupada is giving class, and actually it's very relevant to this verse and bit of the purport we read. Srila Prabhupada is giving class. Then he's in the middle of giving class, and he turned, and actually the deities were on this side, but because you're all on this side, I'll just say, he turned this way and looked at the deities, Radha and Krishna. And as he's looking, Srila Prabhupada became quite emotional. He's looking at them for some seconds, and then he turned to the devotees. And Srila Prabhupada said, I have captured Krishna, and I am holding him here for you. Now you please come and take him. This is extremely significant and extremely deep and extremely true. I have captured Krishna because of Srila Prabhupada's love and devotion, which these unfortunate chappies here mentioned in the verse and a bit in the purport. They just don't have that love at all. I mean, they basically don't have any love. If they have love for anyone, it's themselves, usually. Look out for number one, as they say. But Srila Prabhupada, because of his love for Krishna, he had captured Krishna within his heart and just in his life. And as a possessor of Krishna, he had, you could say, the power of attorney, if you know what I mean. Power of attorney means you can act on behalf of someone. Normally it's used with lawyers and people like that who represent clients. So this is, the principle's somewhat similar, but of course much deeper. So because he has the power of attorney, Krishna's told him, all right, you can do what you like with me even, or at least you can give me, as soon as you find someone who you feel is a suitable enough candidate, just give them to that person. That was Srila Prabhupada, yes. So I've captured Krishna, I'm holding him here for you. Now you please come and take him. So like that, Srila Prabhupada, as the representative of Krishna and the extremely deeply devoted servant of Krishna and associate of Krishna, he could do like that. He could just choose that, all right, you, here, shoo, there you go. Now you got Krishna. I mean, that's just Prabhupada, yeah. So we, the recipients, I mean, actually we have all received Krishna already. That's why we're all here, and Sean too. Yeah, we've all received Krishna from Prabhupada, oftentimes, or it may be through a representative of Prabhupada, like that. And therefore we're here. If we had not received Krishna, we wouldn't really be here. So that's a very important point in regard to Prabhupada and appreciating Prabhupada, that he was a close associate of Krishna. You know, sometimes in sort of corrupt circles, they say, it doesn't matter so much what you know, what matters is who you know. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada, if you knew Srila Prabhupada, you had an in with Krishna, which otherwise you wouldn't have. You really wouldn't have. You really wouldn't have. But because you knew Prabhupada, then it doesn't matter how much what you know, but who you know. If you know someone who's got that connection with a great devotee like Prabhupada, then you've got access. And, okay, so that's one. I will now tell you it's actually very deep, but it's also kind of very light-hearted. It's almost like a joke, although it's true. It's not actually like just some concocted funny little thing. It's true, but you may think it's a joke. You may think it's even a bit of an off joke, off color. Listen to this. This one devotee, his name was Tribhuvanath. He passed away, unfortunately. I know, at least maybe 10 years ago or something. He was a really nice devotee. He joined there in London also. And he really had a close relationship with Prabhupada, very close. And one day he was sitting with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada turned to him. And, well, actually he asked Prabhupada that when you get sick as a devotee, when you get sick, then what, is it Krishna? Is it Krishna's arrangement, or how does it work that you're trying to be a devotee but you get sick, and then you may become quite incapacitated? And Prabhupada, listen to this, devotees, and make sure you're sitting down because this may shake you a little. Prabhupada said, when a devotee becomes sick, it is like Krishna is giving a love bite. Forgive me for that. And if you don't know what a love bite is, then you're a very pure person. and don't worry about it. But actually, that's what Prabhupada said. It means Krishna is sort of putting some pressure on you. Yeah, he loves you so much it hurts. That sort of thing. Yeah. Another thing, here's an interesting thing. This is also from that devotee, Tribhuvanath. After class, Prabhupada was staying there in London for a while. Tribhuvanath was assisting Prabhupada. And he noticed after giving class in the morning, Prabhupada would go up to his room, which is just up on the next floor. And not every time, but sometimes, Prabhupada would get a tape recording and listen to the class he just gave himself, like minutes before, more or less. So, and sometimes as he's listening, and there's a couple or a few other young devotees with him, Prabhupada's listening to himself, speaking just now, and Prabhupada would say, "What do you think about this point?" Some point he made. "What do you think about this?" Some point that he made. And one day, Tribhuvanath, this devotee, asked Prabhupada, "Why are you listening to your own classes?" And you know what Prabhupada said? Prabhupada said, "Because I do not speak them. Krishna speaks through me." Yeah. So therefore I listen to it. And it's a very deep experience, because it's not me. It's Krishna speaking through me. Yes. One day, and again, this is also with Tribhuvanath. One day, Prabhupada, this is in London, like I said, very central London. And tomorrow, Charles is being crowned. Did you know that? If you didn't know that, I'd say that's good, actually, because it's a bit silly, really. But anyway, our temple was and is not far from Buckingham Palace. I don't know if you know central London at all. It's just like a couple of kilometers away from Buckingham Palace. And once Prabhupada was going to a program, like a hall program, and so they had to drive down through the center and then past Buckingham Palace and then on to this hall. It was called Conway Hall. It's very famous classes Prabhupada gave there. So they're driving past Buckingham Palace, and the way you go, the palace. You may have seen these photos. They have the big black hats. You know what I mean? And they look really just sort of totally overdone. Cultural excess. So the devotee said, one of the guards has become a devotee. Yes, one of the guards from Buckingham Palace has become a devotee. Very important. He's a very important person. And look, he became a devotee. And he's going on a bit about, he's so important and he's one of the guards and, all that sort of thing. And Prabhupada, in a very matter-of-fact way, Prabhupada said, "And what about the Queen?" Not yet, Prabhupada. Anyway, it's a bit late now. for the Queen. But actually the Queen, interestingly enough, she attended a couple of programs, and she attended one program in particular in one of our schools in London, I think it's Harrow. It's kind of like West London, Northwest London. There's a school run by devotees there, like I think it's a primary school up to sort of, 12 or 13 years or something like that. And the Queen and Prince Philip came for the program. And they stayed for the whole arti. And there are Radha Krishna deities on the altar. And they were there for like half an hour through this arti ceremony and with kirtan and seeing the deities. And I'm sure, something penetrated. They have a religious leaders' day in Buckingham Palace every year, and our temple president is invited, and he goes, and he meets the Queen, and the Queen was very nice and friendly. Yeah. So, okay, here we go. Here's another story, devotees. Srila Prabhupada really the devotees loved Prabhupada so much. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. Sometimes when Prabhupada would arrive somewhere, like in America, then you'd get 100 devotees at the airport, or even 300 sometimes, but you'd get a good number of devotees at the airport. And when Prabhupada would come through, at least half of them, if not all of the devotees, would be crying, just so deeply moved by Srila Prabhupada. And I remember made his last trip to the Western world. He came to Bhaktivedanta Manor from India. It was 77, he passed away November the 14th, 1977. So this was, he was in London for Janmashtami, put it that way. So that means, I think, September, and his Vyasa Puja day, his appearance day, the next day, of course, he was there. So Srila Prabhupada was incapacitated. He couldn't walk, couldn't really stand up without support. So they would carry him down. His rooms in Bhaktivedanta Manor, they're more or less just directly above the temple room, basically. So they would carry him down on a chair, like a chair like this, but they put poles to support. So 2 people at the back, 2 people in the front, and they'd carry Prabhupada down. And Prabhupada would sit there in front of his Vyasasan. If you can imagine, like his Vyasasan is here, say, and the altar would be up the other end, directly facing the Vyasasan, and Prabhupada would sit there. And we would have kirtan, Guru Puja and kirtan. And Prabhupada would just sit there and look at the devotees having in this kirtan. And as Prabhupada, because of his condition, the health condition, he had to use dark glasses, even inside. And so he had these big dark glasses, like kind of occlusive, if you know what I mean, that hardly any light would get in. And he would sit there and look, and there were like 300 or 400 devotees there, having kirtan, and the devotees were just, wow, out of control. It was amazing. And Prabhupada would just sit there and look. And if you look carefully, you'd see tears would come from his eyes down under the glasses, then down his cheeks to his chin, and then just drip off his chin. Because he loved the devotees. The devotees loved him. But he loved the devotees. He really loved the devotees. So one devotee, really nice devotee, Trivikram Swami, we must, because he had a lot of association with Prabhupada. And he's got so many Prabhupada stories. So he told me the story, his own experience with Prabhupada. Prabhupada's in Vrindavan. And every day Prabhupada has a massage. And one of the disciples, there was like a usual, the one who would massage every time. But now the massage devotee got sick. And in those days in India, when you got sick, you really got sick. I mean, the real thing, believe me. So he couldn't massage Prabhupada. Just couldn't do it. So Trivikram Swami, somehow or other, was appointed the massager. And Prabhupada told him how he liked the massage, so he's doing it. And Prabhupada said, yes, that's good, very good. A little stronger, yes, that's nice, that's nice. And Trivikram Swami would massage him for like an hour, about an hour. And then that would be the end. So Prabhupada, after that first massage, Prabhupada told Trivikram Maharaj that, I am going to America next week. In 1 week, I'm going to America. And he just said that. And Trivikram Swami said, oh, Prabhupada, I must come with you because you need someone to massage you. And I know how to do the massage now. And Prabhupada said, no, it's all right. There's a devotee there, Upendra. He knows how to do the massage, so it's all right, you don't need to come. So next day, this is now a week. In a week, Prabhupada's going to leave. Next day, Trivikram Maharaj is doing the massage and he's really into it. He really wants to show Prabhupada that he really knows. And at the end, Trivikram Swami said, Prabhupada, I think I should come to America with you because I know how to do the massage. And you need, every day you need a massage. And Prabhupada said, no, it's all right. Upendra is there. He knows how to do it. So every day this happened. Every day. Prabhupada, I think I should come. No, it's all right. Upendra's there. Finally, on the last day, Trivikram Maharaj did sort of the massage of his life. He just really did it. And then he said, Prabhupada, I think I should really come with you. It's like today. I think I should really come because I can do the massage properly. I'm experienced now. And Prabhupada said, no, it's all right. Upendra is there. He can do it. And Trivikram Maharaj just felt defeated. He didn't know what to do. Then somehow he said, well, Prabhupada, is Upendra a nice boy? And Srila Prabhupada said, yes, he's a very nice boy. Very nice boy. But not as nice as you. And then Trivikram Maharaj understood. Prabhupada loved him. Prabhupada really loved him. Yeah. Prabhupada was amazing. He loved the devotees. He really loved the devotees. Yes. One time, let me tell you a funny one. Gee whiz. This is also Trivikram Swami. I don't know if any of you know him or have seen him. He's quite big. You know, he's over 6 feet tall. And, I mean, he's not heavily built at all, but, you know, he's a big man. Of course, he's an old man now. He's probably 80. Yeah, he's an really elderly person, but he's very strong. So, when he had just joined the temple, means, I think 1967, he just joined the temple in San Francisco, California. And he had seen Prabhupada. He'd been coming to programs a bit. He'd sort of been around for some months. But now he's living in the temple and he's really like full-time, he's into it. And now Prabhupada's coming. And Prabhupada arrived at the airport. And there's all these devotees at the airport. And Trivikram Swami is there too. And Prabhupada comes through out into the public area and joins with the devotees. And Trivikram Swami went up to him and embraced him and picked him up and spun around 360 degrees and put Prabhupada down. And Srila Prabhupada said, one should not normally do that with the spiritual master. Yeah, and Trivikram Maharaj told me that himself. And another little thing from him, that he was in a meeting with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada, somehow the subject of different devotees came up. And this devotee, such and such, and Prabhupada said, oh yes, I know him. He's such a nice boy. And this other devotee, such and such, oh yes, I know him. He's such a nice boy. And this other one, Raghunath Bhatta, oh yes, I know Raghunath Bhatta. He's such a nice boy. So like several devotees, Prabhupada saying that. And Trivikram Maharaj said, Prabhupada, you are the best. You are such a nice boy. And Prabhupada looked at him like, you know, what are you saying? Prabhupada, you're such a nice boy. Yes. Let's see. Here's an interesting story. Listen to this. There was a devotee in America named Jai Gopal Das. And he died. He was in a car accident as a devotee, living in the temple. And he was married. Young married man, you know, sort of mid-20s or whatever. So he died in a car accident. And his wife was just distraught. completely distraught. And Prabhupada had a meeting with her, personal meeting, to sort of, express his condolences and try to help her, pacify her. And Prabhupada said, I assure you that Jai Gopal has gone back to Godhead, and later you will join him. So when Prabhupada said that, she felt a lot better, at least a lot better. And and Prabhupada told her, I reassure you, I assure you. It was like very emphatic. Then she went out of the room, and one devotee who had been there came out, and he said that, I don't think Jai Gopal went back to Godhead. I think Prabhupada said that just to encourage you. She was, I mean, what type of consciousness is that? Then, some months later, there was a book. A book was published by Dhanavir Goswami. He actually came here in the early 70s. No, what was it? Late 70s. Late 70s, he came to South Africa. Anyway, he's a sannyasi and a very senior devotee. So he published a book like 6 months after this whole event that I'm talking about. He published a book called His Divine Grace. And the one devotee was looking through it. And you know what happened? He came across a photo of Jai Gopal Das. And there was a caption. Srila Prabhupada told us that Jai Gopal was not ready to go back to Godhead, but that Krishna made an exception and took him back anyway. And then he went and showed the wife that. Yeah. So, just see. Prabhupada, in one class, I think in Atlanta, anyway, somewhere in America, Prabhupada's giving class, and a very kind of stern class, like, you have to be 100% Krishna conscious or else. So he said like that to the devotees. There's a whole room full of devotees. 100%. If you want to go back to Godhead, you have to be 100% pure. And he looked out at the devotees, and the devotees were like, whoa, me? 100% pure? I think that, I wouldn't make it. And Prabhupada noticed that. Then Prabhupada said, at least 90% pure. But still the devotees were like, that's too tall an order for me. 80% pure. Same. Prabhupada came down to about 60% pure. And the devotees are still like, who, me? And then Prabhupada said, all right. Just hold on to my dhoti. I will take you back. Prabhupada said, I have the key for the back door. In other words, he'll sneak us in through the back door when Krishna's not looking, when Krishna's in the rasa dance. Yeah. So, okay. Here's a story. See, I collect stories about Prabhupada. I have 21-page A4 pages of stories. This one devotee, I won't mention his name, but a very senior devotee, he was associating with, Prabhupada had already left this world, and he was, it was actually in the late 80s, he and a few other very senior devotees were associating with a, kind of senior devotee, not one of Prabhupada's godbrothers, but a fairly senior devotee from the Gaudiya Math, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's institution, which Prabhupada left, he separated from to establish ISKCON. I won't go into the reasons why, but he did that. And so, but this other devotee, is very knowledgeable, well read, put it that way. And the devotee I'm talking about was associating with him and taking some instruction from him. So, one night, that devotee had a dream. And in the dream, devotees, he passed away. He left his body. He died. And in his dream, he went to the gate, the gateway, the entranceway to Goloka Vrindavan, the kingdom of God. And when he arrived there was someone on the gate, like a gatekeeper. If you were in the program last night in the temple, then Jai and Vijay, they were the gatekeepers. So there was a gatekeeper there, and this devotee walked up to, came walking to just walk through the door, the gateway. But the gatekeeper said, "Wait, hold on, just wait a minute. What's your name?" And the devotee told him, "My name is such and such." And the gatekeeper said, "Who's your guru? Who's your spiritual master?" And the devotee thought momentarily, because he's initiated by Prabhupada, but now he's getting, taking instruction from this other fellow. What should I say? What should I mention both of them? What should I say? But then he said, "No, I am such and such," he said his name. "I am a disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada." And the gatekeeper said, Oh, Srila Prabhupada, why didn't you tell me? Come in. And he didn't go back to that other devotee who had been instructing him. He just stuck with Srila Prabhupada. Here's another story. This is a nice story. I really like this story. Srila Prabhupada was somewhere in America, and one devotee arrived, a special messenger from Los Angeles. At that time, Los Angeles was the headquarters of ISKCON. And it was, and it is, it's big. It's a big temple and a whole big setup. So this devotee came from Los Angeles, sent by the then GBC of Los Angeles, of California, whose name was Jayatirtha. So he came to Prabhupada and he asked for a special appointment. Prabhupada saw him and he said, Jaya Tirtha Prabhu has sent me to give you a report about our Sunday program just the other day, Sunday, and show you some photos. And Prabhupada said, yes. And this devotee said, yes. You know what happened? A troupe of Indian classical dancers came and did a performance during the Sunday program. And they were so expert. It was amazing. And all the guests, there was 100 or a couple of 100 guests, they appreciated their dancing so much. They thanked us for having these dancers here. And then he showed Prabhupada the photos. And so just imagine, it's a big temple room, like twice the size of this or 3 times or more. And the altar is here. And the people are sitting like you're sitting, facing the altar. And the dancers are dancing with their backs to the deities and facing the audience. And Srila Prabhupada said to this devotee that the dancers have their backs to the deities. And the devotee said, yes, well, it was just it seemed the best way to do it, so we did it like that. And the people liked it so much, and they thanked us. Prabhupada interrupted and said, but the dancers have their backs to the deities. And the devotee understood. Prabhupada was not happy. And the devotee said, well, and then Prabhupada said, in Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami says, you must not turn your back to the deities. These dancers have their backs to the deities. And the devotee sort of, sure, I'm in the hot seat suddenly. And he said, well, Srila Prabhupada, we asked the GBC, Jaya Tirtha, what to do. And he said it was all right for the dancers to have their backs to the deities. Jaya Tirtha said it was all right. And Srila Prabhupada said, oh, I see. Srila Rupa Goswami says you must not turn your back to the deities. But Jaya Tirtha says it's all right. And Prabhupada said, Jaya Tirtha has become big authority. And then Prabhupada said, that is the problem with ISKCON. Too many big authorities. And just talking about that, Prabhupada once in New York was being driven to the Rath Yatra. They have, and they still have, they have not, even during COVID, as far as I know, they didn't miss a year. They have been having Rath Yatra on 5th Avenue, which is the main street of New York, since, whenever, like late 1960s. Yeah. So Prabhupada's being driven to the Rath Yatra from the temple. And so they're driving. And Srila Prabhupada asks the driver, Prabhupada's sitting in the front, driver's there, and Prabhupada asks, who is here? Who is here? Meaning of the senior devotees, the sannyasis, the GBCs, and these types of devotees. And the driver said, oh yes, Prabhupada, this one is here, and that one is here, and such Swami is here, and such GBC is here, and such Goswami is here. And he gave, Prabhupada says in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam 4:28-47, the disciple and spiritual master are never separated, because the spiritual master always keeps company with the disciple as long as the disciple follows strictly the instructions of the spiritual master. Then, Prabhupada, in a letter, Prabhupada says, if you think of me, a devotee wrote and asked, are you in my heart? Prabhupada said, if you think of me and work for me, then I am in your heart. If you love somebody, he's in your heart. It is a common thing. Everyone understands that. If I love somebody, he's also in my heart. Let's see. Okay. There was one. What time should we go on till? It's 7:30. 5 minutes? Okay. Oh, okay. Let me tell you one more story, and then I'll answer, or try to answer the questions. Right, so here we go. There was one devotee, I'm sure you've heard of him. His name was Jayananda. He passed away before Prabhupada did in 1977. He had leukemia. And he was very dear to Prabhupada. He was very, very, very dear to Prabhupada. One time, and actually his disappearance day is the day before Nrsingadev's appearance day. So it was just Wednesday, 2 days ago. And Prabhupada instructed we should celebrate it, actually. And Jayananda really he loved prasadam. It's a good sign. He loved prasadam, and particularly he loved cauliflower pakoras. So when we observe it, we've observed it sometimes here. We make cauliflower pakoras. So anyway, one time, Prabhupada was somewhere in America, and various other senior devotees were there accompanying him. And one of them was Tamal Krishna Goswami, who was a very senior devotee and very close to Prabhupada, extremely close. And one day, after Mangal Arati one day, Tamal Krishna Goswami decided he wanted to go see Prabhupada about something. So he went to just walk into Prabhupada's room, because he would do like that. But the secretary assistant on the door stopped him and said, no, you can't go in. And generally you would not say something like that to Tamal Krishna Goswami, because you couldn't really stop him. No, you can't come in. And Tamal Krishna Goswami asked, well, why not? And the devotee said, because he is giving Gayatri to Jayananda. And Tamal Krishna Goswami became confused, and he thought, Jayananda received Gayatri, second initiation, the same day as me 5 years ago. So what is going on? Because at the time of second initiation, you were given the Gayatri mantras. It's part of second initiation. So, he's thinking, what is this? And then Jayananda came out. And Tamal Krishna Goswami asked him, what happened? I heard you were just receiving Gayatri from Prabhupada, but you received it with me 5 years ago, or even more than 5 years ago. And Jayananda said, yes, I know. I just keep forgetting. So every so often, I just go and see Prabhupada, and he gives me the mantras again. So that's what happened. And Tamal Krishna Goswami thought, what is this? This is ridiculous. He's meant to be a Brahmin, like kind of authoritative devotee, and he keeps forgetting the Gayatri mantras. So Tamal Krishna Goswami said, come with me, and took him in to meet with Prabhupada. And Tamal Krishna Goswami said, Srila Prabhupada, I heard you just gave Gayatri to Jayananda. Prabhupada said, yes. And Tamal Krishna Goswami said, Srila Prabhupada, he received second initiation, he received Gayatri at the same time as me. So what is this? You're giving him Gayatri again? He says he forgets. He's not a Brahmin. You shouldn't give him Gayatri again. Shouldn't give him Gayatri again. He's not qualified. Srila Prabhupada said, Jayananda Prabhu is such a sincere devotee. He can chant whatever he likes, anything, and Krishna will accept it. And that was the last time Tamal Krishna Goswami commented on that. Okay, so here we have three questions, or four questions. When I met Srila Prabhupada, did you already know and realize how great he was and how much greater he was going to become after he left this world? When I first met Prabhupada, I was a university student. It was about April the 14th, 12th or 14th, the exact day is not 100% clear, 1972. I was studying at the university in Auckland, New Zealand, and I just happened to be walking through. It's like 9 or 10, maybe 10, sometime in the sort of mid-morning time. And I was walking through the university, and, it's a long story, I won't tell you the whole story, but who should I see for the first time in my life but Srila Prabhupada, sort of almost walking towards me. And he walked past me with a group of devotees, and there was a little stage sort of in the central area there, the quadrangle outside the cafe. And Prabhupada and the devotees got onto the stage, and it's like this sort of height, and sat down and had a kirtan. And at that time, I had heard Hare Krishna, because it had been top of the hit parade in 1969. And I was a hit parade specialist. Gosh, expert, if you don't mind me saying, about the hit parade. Oh, yes. So I'd heard Hare Krishna a lot, because it was on the radio regularly, and it was a big thing amongst the young people. But I didn't know anything more than Hare Krishna. That was it. I didn't know who Prabhupada is. And when Prabhupada sat down on that stage in the university, and started singing, then I listened and I heard, oh, this is Hare Krishna. And then I thought, you know what I thought? Maybe he's Krishna. So in other words, I was not well informed. I do know more now. It's true. So therefore, I didn't realize how great he was. But when I moved into the temple in January 73, whatever, several months later, then very quickly I got some realization, at least, that he's very, very great. Because I understood very clearly that he had saved me from completely hopeless situation. Totally. So at that time, certainly I didn't realize how great he was or how much greater he was going to become. Yeah. I mean, it's just an ongoing thing. There's no end to it. He is a personal associate of Lord Krishna. So now here's another question from the same person. I recognize the handwriting. In the class yesterday, you mentioned Nrsingadev mantra that should be recited every day. Can you repeat this for us? This is the Nrsingadev mantras, plural, which we already sang just after the main kirtan tonight. Namaste Narasimhaya, Pralada Ladadayani, etc., etc., etc. Those mantras were taught to us by Prabhupada personally. In 1967, when he was extremely ill, he was hospitalized. And the devotees were very concerned, and even he thought he might pass away. I mean, you should read if you haven't done, the Leelamrita. It gives a vivid description of that whole event. Very amazing. So Prabhupada told they asked him, what can we do? Are there any special prayers or ceremonies or anything that we can do which may help? And Prabhupada said, yes, you chant these mantras to Nrsingadev. So he introduced it then, and then it became a regular practice. At the end of every major arti, at least, like at Mangal arti time, midday arti time, evening arti, like 7 o'clock arti, we always sing those Nrsingadev mantras for protection. There's many Nrsingadev mantras, but they are the main ones. And you don't need to chant any others. You just chant those. And you'll be as protected as it's possible to be by Lord Nrsingadev. Right, okay. What is the benefit of placing a Mahagarland and Tulsi on the body of a non-devotee when the soul has left the body? Yeah. It's a very traditional practice with anyone, particularly devotees, to put a Mahagarland, some Tulsi, on the body of a devotee, and it can be done with non-devotees. The thing is, of course, or the point is that the soul has already left the body. Otherwise, the person would still be alive. But now you're going to cremate the person's body. They'd better not be alive. Occasionally you hear these stories, of people coming back to life. Oh yeah. There's quite a few of them around. So, okay, now on a non-devotee though, the thing is, there is still a connection between the person, the soul, and the body. So there is spiritual benefit. Even though the soul may have gone, miles or however far away, but there's still a subtle connection. That's why even after the body's cremated, like here in South Africa, it happens, from time to time, some devotee or just some relative dies. Body is cremated. You get the ashes, and you want the ashes to be put into the Ganges or the Yamuna, usually, which, is very traditional. But nobody's going that to India for 6 months or something. So you hold on to the ashes for however long until someone's going, or even until you can go. And then, now it's sometime later, it's not like the same day, it's not even the same week, it's not even the same month. It may be 6 months or even more later. And now you take the ashes and place them in the Yamuna River, the Ganges River, or some sacred lake. But Shastra, scripture says that there is still benefit for the departed person, because the departed person used that body for years. In many cases, they used the body 24/7, of course, for like 70 years, 60 years, 70, 80 years. So there's still a type of connection there, and therefore it is beneficial if the ashes, the remains of the body, which was such an integral part, even the focal point of the person's life for so many years, for those ashes to be placed in the sacred waters. In fact, it's said that just through that, the person, wherever they are now, they can be liberated. So that's basically the idea there. Here's an interesting one to conclude with. Is the Maha Mantra like an 18-pound hammer? How does that sound to you? I'd say it's like a 1-ton hammer. It'll just smash all the nonsense out. Yeah. And just put into your heart Krishna, and away you'll go back to Godhead, or at least to become a devotee and make real spiritual progress. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.